Dr. Myles Munroe in this power-packed sermon discusses the secrets of living at full potential. He uses his story, which is a life story, to exemplify how you can lead from nothing to greatness. Before we begin, please subscribe to get notified when we post a new video. Now, let's get started. The preacher opens the sermon with his childhood life story on how he lived with his family in a poor home and how that made him to encounter God. He says the following: "I was born in a family of 11 children. One mother, one father. I am number 6 of those kids. I was born on an island, but I was born in the poorest village on the island. It's called Bainstown. I was born in a wooden house. There were 4 big rocks to keep this wooden house from being on the ground, so that the roaches and the rats wouldn't get in. There were 2 bedrooms and another room that served as a kitchen, dining room and sitting room all in one. One bedroom was for my mother and father. The other bedroom was for my 7 sisters, so there were no more bedrooms. So I and my 3 brothers had to sleep on the wooden floor. We would cover ourselves with dirty sheets that would be washed every weekend, and we were bitten by rats and roaches which crawled over our bodies, and mosquitoes were our best friends. Many times we couldn't sleep because of the mosquitoes, and we lived that way. But we were very happy because we didn't know we were poor. Everybody else was poor. There was no comparison." Dr. Myles Munroe says their parents emphasized on reading the Bible and told them that they must read the Bible no matter how hard life became. He further says, "They would teach us from this book about God and about Jesus Christ and about His sacrifice for us. And as kids, we grew up with those conditions. And as I grew older, I began to question why we were poor. Because I began to see other people's lifestyles, and I remember crying out to God one time at age 13. I said, 'If you exist, you got to speak to me and explain this to me.' And it was at age 13 that my life was transformed, because that night at 3 a.m., outside on the dirt ground under the stars in the Bahamas, with tears running down my face, I asked God to explain to me why we were poor. His answer was simple. He said to me, 'Because of your mind.' That began a new journey for me. I surrendered my life to God that night at age 13. I never went back. At age 14 I wrote on paper everything I wanted to be and to do. Today I am doing those things, and something happened between sleeping on the floor and flying my own jet. What happened is, I had a mental transformation. Nothing changes until your mind changes. You can change your clothes and still have an old mind. You can change your location but still have the old mind. You can change your house but still have the old mind. Nothing changed until your mind changes. And during that journey as a young man, I began to read the Bible at age 14. I read through the entire book and I didn't understand. Because the Bible is a very complicated book. And also I read it in the King James Version, which is even worse. At 15, I read the Bible again, and I began to understand it. By age 16 I began to memorize big chunks of the book, and my school lessons went from F to A. I graduated top of my school in high school because of the same book. It taught me that nothing was impossible. So my whole life was changed because I fed myself new information from that book, which changed my concept. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. Some people think that when someone dies, that's the worst thing that can happen to them. That's not true. I discovered that the greatest tragedy in life is not dead, but it's life without a purpose. It is more tragic to be alive and not know why, than to be dead and not know life." He states further that when you are alive, you are accountable for what you're doing with your hours, minutes, energy, with your talents and with your whole time. Most people are living as an experiment. I discovered that there are 5 questions that everybody must answer to become successful. He further states the following: "I discovered these questions when I was 15 years old. The first question every human must answer to become successful are these questions. Question number 1. Who am I? It's a tough question and some of you think you've answered it, but it's not an easy question to answer. Normally I ask people, who are you? They tell me what they do. Who are you? And they give me answers like, I'm a nurse. I didn't ask you what you do. I want to know, who are you? How do you identify yourself? You shouldn't confuse yourself with your career. Your career is temporary. That means when you lose your job, then you lose your life. Who are you? The second question you must answer is, where am I from? This is a very important question. It's a tough question at the same time. As a matter of fact, humans have been trying to answer this question for over 3,000 years. Today, there have been even attempts to say that you are from monkeys. That is evolution. They talk about man starting as a slime that became a salamander that became a tadpole, that developed into a frog, which eventually became an ape man that became a human. They're trying to explain where you're from. You see, until you know where you are from, you don't know who you are. What is your source? Where did you come from? It's a very important question. And the third question I had to answer and grapple with is, why am I here? That's a tough question. Why were you born? Why were you conceived? Why are you on this planet right now? Why did you come to Earth? These are tough questions, and you have not yet answered that question cause it's a hard question. We don't even like to think about it. Why am I here? We ask that question silently. We don't talk about it publicly much because we are afraid. We don't know the answer. Why were you born? Scientists have proven that over 600 million sperms rush toward the egg and only one makes it. And my question is, why did more than 599 million sperms die so that you can live to come to this planet? Was there a reason why the divine creator chose that specific sperm for you to come at this time? Why did you come here? It's a tough question. You didn't come here just to make a living and pay bills and then die. You came here to make a difference. You came to deliver something that we are supposed to have. We got to find out what that is. You are not a mistake. You are not a biological accident. So why did you come here? It's a tough question. The fourth question everybody must answer is, what can I do? What is my true ability? Dr. Myles Munroe says this is a tough question because most people are living below their true potential. He says many don't know what they're capable of because they have accepted other people's opinion of their own abilities. In his own words, he says the following: I was a victim of that years ago. I had to be delivered from people. So I put it to you. What can you do? It's a tough question. And the fifth question is, where am I going? This one has to do with your destiny. Where are you going with your life? When will you be in the next 10 years? What do you see for the next 50 years of your life? What do you want to do with yourself in the next 40 years? What do you see in your life as your future destiny? What's your hope to become and to do in your life? Or are you simply waiting for the next paycheck? Is there a sense of destiny in your life? God wants me to talk to you. To let you know that you are not just here as a passing fantasy.